Yo, what up guys, Brief5D here. In this video I want to take time to look at what's coming in Raid. They posted a what's next video and they gave us the content creators to check out, and I wanted to give you my impression or my own opinion about all this new content that is coming up and the changes that is going to be made. Now, games are known to make such changes to either make things more difficult in terms of levels, new bosses, stages and all that, because the old content does get old sometimes, and then older players who have been playing it for a long time have no longer have fun in those old content anymore. I'm talking about how we farm Dragon 25 at 1 minute or less, Spider even in 19 seconds, Spider 25. So those end game content, usually dungeons used to end at level 20, right? They added 5 more difficult stages, and now things are a little bit different. So I'm gonna play the what next video so we can take a look at everything. But for now, I just know the first thing that I started with the video was there's gonna be new dungeon content. So let's take a look. I'm gonna be playing this one on my phone because I'm kind of far away from my desk. But I'll put the full video, if you want to check it out, on the link in the description directly to Raid's to Playroom's account, so you can take a look at their full what's next video, because I'll be pausing this one and giving my reaction to the changes that are coming up. All right, let's see what's coming to Raid.
Hey everyone, welcome to the first What's Next in Raid episode of 2023. It's only fitting that we kick the year off with some huge news about what's coming
Live
to the
arena
game.
Quality improvements.
Let's waste no
So that's
time
3
in getting
things.
Right into it.
Well,
first up,
new
let's start
champions
with
is
the new
always
PvE
happening,
content.
so that's not new.
We're supercharging some of our familiar dungeon bosses, making for
So
a really
Dragon
tough endgame challenge.
will be changed
Introducing hard
to
mode
include
dungeons.
hard mode.
When we say hard mode, we mean hard mode. These aren't
Tainted
just minor buffs
Hellraiser.
and tweaks.
So it's not
They've
just
changed
normal
up the
Hellraiser
mechanics and
anymore.
abilities of these
He's now
bosses,
tainted.
adding devilish new twists to old classics. That's not to say you'll have to change how you approach dungeons entirely. Old stages will remain the same. With these remixed
I just hope they don't make it too difficult.
For the Dragon's Lair, Ice Golem's
Even more
Peak,
difficult than
Fire Knight's
Doom
Castle,
Tower,
and
or more
Spider's
difficult than
Den.
Hydra had.
So, let's meet our combatants. These bosses weren't exactly nice to start off with, but a creeping darkness has tainted them even further. They're tougher, stronger, and more brutal than their regular counterparts. So, bring your A game. Let's start with the noxious dragon, its tainted Hellraiser. Rather than more fire, this malevolent fiend has doubled down on horrific poisons.
More poisons.
His Mephitic Fire skill will apply twice as many poison debuffs as its normal counterpart, Wall of Fire, and it beefs up Tainted Hellraiser with a 50% increase attack buff for good measure.
A cleanse will do
Also,
this,
his
like
secret
a
skill,
cleanse will
Toxic
easily resolve this.
Incineration, will
There's
activate
no problem
all
with this
poison
one.
debuffs on your champions at once.
He
This
explodes
caustic
the poisons.
explosion can deal major damage, so be sure to bring
So,
someone
yeah.
who can cleanse these poisons from your team.
Cleanse will resolve
Now,
that easily.
Let's take a look at Tainted Clysis and see what new tricks he's hiding up his frozen sleeves. Debilitating Frost will remove all debuffs from Tainted Clysis and decrease your team's turn meter by 30%.
He removes
Also,
his debuffs
he's
now.
utterly immune to poisons. Makes sense, seeing as he's literally made from ice. So, how do you defeat something made of ice? You melt it. HP Burn is your friend here.
Come on,
It deals
that's too
10%
much of a
more damage
change.
to Tainted Clysis and destroys the max HP of his minions.
That's too much of a
making it easier
change.
to put them back into the ground whenever they get dragged back into the fight. Needless to say,
No more
some teams
poisons
that
now.
used to shine in this
HP
dungeon will
burn
be getting the
has
cold
to
shoulder
be
from Tainted Clysis
the way
instead.
to go.
Be prepared to change your teams accordingly. Next up, the Ice Golem's hot-tempered counterpart, Tainted Fyro, the Fire Knight. If you thought his shield was nasty before, just wait until you see it now. It goes from needing 12 hits to break in stage 25 of normal mode to needing 21 hits in stage 10 of hard mode. And that's not even your biggest worry. Attacking Tainted Fyro's shield will destroy your champion's max HP by 1%.
I guess
More HP destruction? His corrupting blaze skill
all
also
allied
destroys
join
your
attack
team's
champions
HP by
will be the way to
15% of
break
the
it.
damage dealt. Meaning, whatever he does, your HP is taking a hit. You'll need to find a way to counter this, or else Tainted Fyro will be carving through your champions like a hot knife through butter. Oh, and he's immune to turn meter reduction too. Sorry, all you Cold Heart and Allure fans. However,
Come on.
hope is not lost.
Come
Turns out
on.
Tainted Fyro just needs to chill out. Okay, using freeze may not literally freeze him, but it will cause him to lose 15% of his turn meter per freeze debuff. Cool. Let's move on to our next star, Tainted Scavag. and
Come
her endless
on.
brood of
That's
spider
too much of
legs.
a change.
The changes to her
No
dungeon
Tomita
should
for
send
Fire
shivers
Knight.
down your spine. First, Tainted Scavag is immune to turn meter reduction and HP burn. We're not kidding. In fact, if you've got HP burn on her spiderlings, each AP burn activation will now partially heal her. So you'll definitely want to avoid that. Also, her spiderlings are immune to freeze, so that old trick won't
No,
save
no,
either.
no, no, no,
However,
no.
where one door closes, another one opens. Each time a spiderling dies, Scavag loses a chunk of her HP. So, upping your area of effect game and blasting her entire clutch to Kingdom Come is now a viable strategy. Another saving grace is that hard mode spiderlings aren't any tougher than they are on stage 25 of normal mode. So if you can splat them there, you can splat them here.
Alright, okay, so they are easy to
Overall, hard
kill.
mode dungeons live up to their name, and taking them on is well worth the effort. Along with yielding greater rewards and more event or clan v clan tournament points, hard mode dungeons will also drop mythical artifacts and accessories. Until now, you could only get mythical artifacts from Hydra
Mythical.
Labs, but it wasn't exactly an easy location to farm. Once hard mode dungeons go live, you'll get to choose which sets to hunt for and have more ways to earn mythical artifacts and accessories. And trust me, you'll want these mythical goodies to prepare for the challenges we've got cooking this year. Speaking of challenges, we all know that the best thing in life is to crush your enemies, climb the ranks of the arena, and become the best in the world. But until now, you could only test your strength against AI-controlled defense teams, and we know you all dreamed of more than that. You want to go head-to-head with other
So
players.
this is
to
the
feel thrill of
PvP
real-time
arena we've been
PvP,
talking about and
test your
waiting
skill
for.
against opponents as cunning as you are. Now, at last, we can say that dream is becoming reality. Live Arena is coming to Raid.
When?
We're super excited about it and can't wait to
When,
see how
though?
Raid's PvP scene will evolve after the feature goes live. We won't go into too much detail today, so consider this an appetizer before a full feature preview video later this year.
They're still
Live Arena
teasing.
will
They're
be
still
available to all
teasing
players who
Live
are
Arena
level
after saying it's
50
gonna
and
be for
above.
this year.
You can queue up for battles several times a day on a set schedule, a necessary measure to avoid long wait times in a PvE-focused game like Raid. Once you've queued up, you'll be added to the matchmaking pool, and you'll get matched up against an opponent as soon as possible. After pairing up with an opponent, the Battle of Wits begins with picking champions. During this phase, both players will pick their champions one by one, building a team of 5. Each player will then get to ban a single enemy champion from the fight and choose their team leader. No doubt some of you more devious players will come up with plenty of mind games for this. Oh, and one thing to mention, you won't be able to use duplicate champions in the higher Live Arena tiers. Once the teams have been drafted, the battle begins. It won't be all that different as far as core mechanics are concerned, except you're fighting a real human. So be prepared for nasty surprises that the AI could never come up with. All phases in battle will have an overall time limit and a limit on player turns. Should the overall time limit run out, both players will receive a defeated result. You're fighting the clock as much as you're fighting your opponents here, so don't try and stall out for the win. On top of the sheer awesomeness of fighting other players in real time, there'll be dedicated Live Arena quests, new artifacts, a new addition to the Great Hall where you can spend your hard-earned Live Arena crests, and other rewards to look forward to. But
Come
we'll
on.
talk about
I
all
thought something
that
would be
later.
done with the Great Hall. I
Those are
almost
the
got
two main
excited
features
right
we'll be
there.
working on in the near future, but we also have some significant quality of life updates coming too. First of all, we're going to make separate multi-battle settings for various game modes and even for some individual dungeons. This should make it even easier to customize your farming teams and ensure they don't run into any trouble during their artifact hunts. We are also expanding your artifact selling options in multi-battle mode. Right now, you can only choose what rank of artifacts you want to get rid of, but we're changing it so you can pick which artifacts you want to keep based on the rank, rarity, type, set, specific substats, or any combination of these factors. It won't be difficult to
Nice.
set up, and
So
it'll make your
basically what
farming a lot
RS Helper
smoother.
already does,
We're also
that is
adding a new
what
sorting option
Raid will
for
now be able
artifacts
to
and
do to
accessories
help you
that'll
automatically
allow you
sell.
to sort your gear by stats. For players with many artifacts, it should help you keep on top of things. Finally, we're going to sort out the chaos that is the Fragment Summons
That's
tab.
also a nice
Champions
quality
that are currently unavailable by any
improvement.
means will be hidden from the list, unless you've got at least one of their fragments. It's a small
Nice.
enough change, but it'll make navigating Fragment Summons much easier. And finally, it wouldn't be a What's Next video without showing off some awesome new champions in the pipeline. Many of these fabulous barbarians
We are not excited about new
Fashionable
champions.
Ogrins
No, we
and
already
their
have
friends are all
enough
but ready to
champions.
jump into the summoning pool and join the fight for Teleria. A few are still in the early stages of development, and we need to iron out some new mechanics. They'll be worth the wait, and we think you guys will love them. And that's it for this episode of What's Next in Raid. Don't forget
I'm
to
not
hit
that
like
crazy
and
about
subscribe
new
to keep up with all the
champions.
exciting stuff coming this year. Till then, happy raiding.
All right, that's all that is coming up in Raid. But he didn't say. You notice how they didn't give a timeline on all these events. What no timeline means is that it will come up next month, it will come up in the next 6 months, or even up to December before some of these changes that is proposed will be made. But at least the first one that we're expecting to see live in the Game Fest will be the live arena, even before the Dragon hard mode. I mean, the dungeon hard mode is released. I think the live arena should be released first, because that's the one that has been promised for a long time. So I guess we'll have to figure out new ways of beating these dungeon bosses that are a little bit more difficult. But the question is, will those mythical gear that you get be better? I hope the chances of getting the mythical gear is like 80%, because if you make like a 12% chance of dropping mythical gear and then a 10% chance of getting what do you call it now, legendary gear, then like 50% chance of getting epic. Like, we don't want to see rare gear at all in that level 20, I mean in that hard mode dungeon. That will make the gear, the type of gear that it drops, will determine whether it will be what end game players time to spend time building new teams for it. Of course, content creators and everybody out there will attempt it the first time it comes out, but just like the Sand Devil Necropolis and the Iron Twins Fortress, whether we continue to farm it or not will be determined by the value of the gear that it drops. So I hope they don't make this dungeon in a way that it will be, the gear that drops will not be worth the time spent on it. So that's something I'm hoping. Of course, if you already beat dungeons at a other level, and it doesn't say how many points will be added to it in terms of dragon tournaments, ice golem tournaments and events, right? So let's see if doing tournament and events by doing it on hard mode, whether it will add a little bit more points, maybe up to 40 to 50 points per run. That will be something to watch out for. So that will also be determined whether it will be worth farming when you're doing dungeons, when you're doing tournaments and events. If the points are increased in those hard mode, that will also be a factor that will determine whether people will play Dragon 20 or hard mode 1 to 10. So is it 5 stages or 10 stages? Because they won't release hard mode 20 stages all at the same time. No, I think they'll release first 5 or 10 stages on the hard mode before later, and another time they now push it a little bit further with more stages, just like they did for the Dragon, for the old dungeons, which I think started at 15 or 10 before they pushed to 20 and now 25. All right, that's the first one, the dungeon hard mode. I think it's a good change. It's one that you as a player on Raid can ignore. It's not something that forces you to do it. You can continue farming your Dragon 20, 25, no problem with that. You already have gear on these ones to be doing everything in the game. But from what Raid is saying, by farming the new dungeon hard mode mythical gear, you're preparing for new content that is not yet released, or new content that will be coming. Mythical gear, if you do not know, gives you extra bonus stats in terms of one sub stat is already rolled up. So I think that's the advantage that it adds, and a lot of people want speed set in mythical gear. So far we've only been introduced to it from the drops in the Hydra, and so far I've not gotten anything good rolls on it. So hopefully this will be something, when you get more of it from the dungeons, you can begin to start to get good rolls on mythical gear, which will boost our accuracy, our speed, our HP. We might be doing up to 200k HP one day in Raid from all this gear that is currently being improved right now in Raid. Speeds of up to 1,000 one day maybe with the way Raid is going with all this new content that is coming up. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm not too crazy about the changes to the boss, especially the ice golem that can no longer be poisoned. Now you must use HP burn right there. The spider, no turn meter control. Fire knight, no turn meter control. So that's a little bit how do I call it? I don't know the word to use for it, but it's not like a change you're doing for the player base. It's a change you're doing to just make things difficult. Of course, we're still able to beat it and all that, but you could still leave the HP burn mechanic in the spider, right? You could still leave that HP burn mechanic right there and add a little bit of tankiness, or add one more two something to his skill, right? To make him hit a little bit harder, or something. Make that boss extremely difficult, but not change his mechanic entirely and still call his name the same name. Say tainted. He's not tainted. Tainted will mean he still has the same abilities plus new abilities, right? That's something that is tainted. This one is an entirely different boss, and his name should even change, because this is not the spider anymore when it's on hide mode. It's not I forgot the spider name. It's not the same boss at all. So that's what I think about it. Of course, I trust the endgame players in Raid to come up with new ways to beat this content in no time. So hopefully they drop it in a month or two, so we don't sit and wait for a very long time before it is launched, because this is something that should be easier to implement compared to something like live PvP arena Raid, which requires a lot of fine-tuning before everything will be working smoothly. So what else did they share? Other quality of life improvements that are coming. I think the one I appreciate the most about is, I forgot which one they shared though. Quality of life improvements. Let me see again. Quality of life improvements. Expanding multi-battles, that's not that great for me. Improve artifact management in multi-battles, I guess that's okay. New artifacts and accessories sorting, now that's awesome. So, and of course the auto sell options in multi-battles, I guess that's something to look out for also. Good quality of life improvements that are coming, but I still think there are a lot of things the player base has been requesting for that is ignored in this quality of life improvement. I'll give you something example. Artifact storage, come on. Now you're building a new dungeon, a new hard mode dungeon, which will require us to farm new content, new gear. What about the old gear? Where are we going to store the old gear that are actually good? Should we now begin to delete our old gear because we're getting new gear that is probably trash and worse than the old gear that we currently rolled up? So that's something that should be added right here. Quality of life improvement should add artifact storage. I mean, I don't want this one to be a rant, but I just wanted to point this one out there, that this is the obvious one, that if you're bringing a new dungeon that will require players to farm a lot more overnight farming, new mythical gear, you should add a little bit of space, a little bit, so we don't have to sell all our old gear just to get new gear that we don't know the stats yet, which is whether they are better than the old gear or not. So all right, I guess I'll see what other people are saying about this new quality of life improvements and these new changes that are coming to Raid. Again, nobody knows when these are coming. They didn't put any dates. That's why we say we are playing Raid coming soon. Everything is coming soon in Raid. They don't like to put a date on this event or these changes, because if they disappoint on that date, the community will just go crazy that they failed. So that's why Raid don't like to put dates, launch dates on things like this. So when you see it, you see it. Of course, as we get closer to the dates, like they said, they are going to release more information about these individual changes to the content that are coming. So again, changes like this are good to games. We just wish they would actually implement the changes that the player base is asking for, not this one that they just feel will make players spend more energy, spend more time on the game. I'm talking about end game players, because this is obviously not a newer player friendly content. I'm talking about even the PvP arena might be friendly to newer players, but it's a way for end game players to have something else to do besides platinum. That's where I see it. A little bit more competitive. So newer players will be more focused on filling up their great hall with medals, right? Why this one might not be something they want. I don't know what the stats when we see that great hall. I don't know what advantage will be gotten from that's fighting the PvP arena. When we see the tab right there, I don't know whether it will add extra stats to your teams or something at advantage or so. We'll see whether it will be worth farming PvP arena or it's also going to be something we ignore in raid. Alright, I'm done rambling about this new what's in raid content. This is what I think about it. It's a good change that is coming. I just wish they implement a little bit more that we've been asking for. And let me know in the comments below what you think about these new contents that are coming up, which don't have a definite date yet. And of course, hit like, subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Raid Shadow Legends content. I'll be ending this video by showing you the winners of the giveaway, monthly giveaway right there. The first 3 winners will be for 300 gems, and while the last 5 winners will be for 540 gems and 1 ancient shard. Good luck to all of you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Later, guys.